our next speaker. She is from the New Worlds Alliance. Actually, her site was really interesting. She actually aggregates a number of different groups. No? So halo-halo na yan. You got the people who like Harry Potter, the people who like, she's actually a Narnian, I think. You have the Trekkies, the Lord of the Rings people. You have the Pag-asa wing of the Rebel Legion, the Philippine outpost of the 501st Legion, Telecraft community, Pinoy Gaimania. This is, I guess, Neil Gaiman, if I'm not mistaken, the Twilight Coven Philippines. She's able to organize all of these guys. And her question is, why not admit you're a sci-fi and fantasy geek? Well, tinatanong pa ba yun, di ba? All right, mga kaibigan, let's give a round of applause, please, for Miss Rej Layug, our geek goddess.
Okay, geek goddess, that's new. Thank you, Bam. So I'm Rej Layug. I'm from the New Worlds Alliance. Yes, I'm a geek. So I decided to phrase my question as, why not admit that you're a science fiction and fantasy geek? And it had to be phrased that way because for a lot of people, when you say geek, the connotation is still negative. You still think this is somebody who's, I mean, what do you think when you hear the word geek? And nod if this is what you're thinking. You're probably thinking of somebody in their mid-40s, overweight, sitting in their mother's basement. I see people smiling. Maybe playing D&D, watching Battlestar Galactica, or like Mystery Science Theater on their DVD player. I hear people cheering over there. So there are geeks here, aside from me. Okay, so that's not a pretty picture. And the thing is, there are a lot of us here there are a lot of geeks in Manila, in the Philippines, and not a whole lot of us are like that. So I'm here to tell you what we do, why we're proud to be geeks, why we do these crazy things, and how you can be a geek and be proud of it too. So the New Worlds Alliance is, as Bam said, it's a tribe of tribes. We are an alliance of many different groups. These groups started as individual tribes online. They were mailing lists, forums, message boards. Sometimes they were just little email groups of individuals who all like Buffy, who all like X-Files, who all like, say, Superman or Marvel Comics or games. And they were just little pockets of people. And what happened was there was an opportunity for Star Trek Nemesis to have a big opening here in Manila. And there was this really big Star Trek fan group called Via Astris. And they really wanted to do something big for Star Trek Nemesis. But they couldn't do it alone. They were only like less than 100 people at the time. And they realized that they wanted to bring sort of geek culture here to the Philippines, but they couldn't do it by themselves. So obviously, these little tribes knew of each other. They knew, oh, hey, I know so-and-so, he's from the Pinoy, so he's from Star Wars Philippines. So they decided to send an away mission. Yes, they really called it an away mission. Yes, there were officers. There was a captain. He had his, what do you call them, number 2? And they sent their away mission to the Star Wars Philippines Christmas party. It was a mission of peace, and they said, we would like your help. They said, we want to do something big, but we can't do it alone, so let's all band together. And that's how the New Worlds Alliance was born. It really was an alliance in the truest sense of the word. The first 7 members of the alliance were Via Astris, the Star Trek Club of the Philippines, Incorporated. Yes, they're registered. The Star Wars Philippines, obviously the Star Wars fan club. There was Aegis. They are the alliance of eclectic gamers and interactive storytellers. We call them the most hardcore of the geeks. The people who stay in the basements, that's them, except they stay on the rooftop. And then there are the Pinoy Slayers. So they're actually more Joss Whedon fans than just Buffy fans. There's the Pinoy X-Files, and the Philippine Tolkien Society, Pinoy Harry Potter. Did I cover all of them? Yes, I did. Okay, so those were the 7 founding groups of the New Worlds Alliance. And because they all got together, they were able to have a big convention at Louis THX in March 2003. this was the first convention of its kind in the Philippines. I mean, I know we've all heard about big conventions in the US. There are Star Trek conventions, Star Wars conventions. There had never been anything like that here. And we were all secretly wishing that we could bring some of that culture here to the Philippines. So at Louis THX in March 2003, everything was there. There were people in costume, there was Borg, there was an alien, there were people dressed as Anne Rice vampires, there were lots of people in different Star Trek uniforms, there were people in Jedi robes, there were really even children, people from like children like 5 years old to grown-ups who were all in costume. And that's not all they were doing. They were playing games. There were video screenings. There were game demos. So it really a convention. It was a big mishmash of everything sci-fi and fantasy. And this was where I came in, because I am not the founder of the New Worlds Alliance. Unlike the other people here, I'm not a photographer, I'm not a game designer. I'm just a writer. I started out, when I was a kid, it was my dad who got me into science fiction. He started me on Star Wars and Spaceballs. My mom got me... Okay, now I've got you. My mom got me into fantasy, so it was the Chronicles of Narnia, Lord of the Rings, and my mom liked Star Trek. So that was an interesting alliance also right there. My mom and my mom's friends and her family, they all got me into reading, into lots of different movies, different sort of things, all of which factor into a lot of science fiction and fantasy. So I heard about New Worlds 1. New Worlds was the first convention. It was New Worlds, the first Philippine science fiction and fantasy convention. And a friend of mine from college told me about it. And it was a dream come true. It was like, you know how all of your life you feel a little different from everybody else. You never sort of fit in. And then you go to this place, or you meet this group of people, and oh my God, I'm home. I was home. There were people with like green skin, blue skin, horns coming out of their head, tails. They were wearing capes, cloaks, boots, God knows what else, or not next to nothing. So it really felt like, oh my God, this is my tribe. And it wasn't just one kind of people, it was many kinds of people. So that's really what one of the core things about the New Worlds Alliance. So I joined the New Worlds Alliance like head on. The first group I joined was the Pinoy Slayers, because I really, really liked Buffy. And it runs in the family. One of my uncles is a big Buffy fan. I wish he would find somebody Buffy-like so he could get married. So I'm obviously a Star Wars fan. That's me, the little biker scout. Shortest person there, obviously. I am also into Star Trek, thanks to my mother. I like the original series and Star Trek: The Next Generation. I haven't tried watching Voyager, and I can't stand Enterprise. Sorry. I did have a uniform made, and I will be watching the new movie in IMAX. Black Pearl Philippines, which is an organization of Pirates of the Caribbean fans. We have a pirate over there. Also the founder of Black Pearl Philippines. I joined Pinoy Slayer, and I'm sure there are people here who really like Dr. Horrible's sing-along vlog. Okay. I'm a big fan of Narnia, so there was actually a Narnia fan group in the Alliance. We have Anne Rice Philippines, and there's also Battlestar Galactica Philippines. There's also Aegis, as I mentioned, because I love games. I play Magic the Gathering and a whole lot of other board games. A whole lot of card games and board games, sorry. And there's Heroes Philippines, so which is really getting into gear because Heroes is improving again. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. So there are a lot of groups in the Alliance. We have over 20 groups at last count, and it seems like every month there's a new group that wants to join us. So I guess maybe they see how much fun we're having. I'm not sure. Okay, so what do we do? Well, the New Worlds Alliance is really, it's like a family. I feel it's a family. We trade stories, we buy and sell each other's toys and books and costumes sometimes. Costumes are really a big part. It seems inevitable if you're a geek, if you like science fiction and fantasy. It seems inevitable to want a costume. These helmets are mine. This is yes, that's a Biker Scout helmet from Return of the Jedi. Yes, this is an Episode 2 Clone Trooper helmet. It's sort of part of it. It's sort of automatic that when people find out you're a geek, oh, do you have Jedi robes? Oh, do you have a Starfleet uniform? So it's something we all do. And in fact, one of our groups is totally dedicated to costuming. That's Cosplay PH. They have a booth over there. Aside from costumes, we make our own props and weapons. So yes, that includes blasters, swords, staffs, cutlasses, hats, you name it. Collectibles are also a very important part of geek life. If you're a geek, you probably have the Region 1 DVD of your favorite movie, the Region 3 DVD of your favorite movie, the limited edition of your favorite book, the first printing copy, the stuff that's in plastic and that you don't want to open, you have another copy which you will open, another copy which you're willing to lend out. So it's really, you have to have all of it. So if there was, like, you know, the chair from the bridge on Enterprise, you want to have that too, but it kind of won't fit in the living room and your mom won't let you. So that's just a small part of it. But I guess the most important the most important thing about what we do is the conventions. We've had 5 New Worlds conventions so far. And what do we do at these conventions? It's the same thing that happens at conventions all over the world. There's costume contests. We have fight demos. We've had lightsaber fights. We've had the pirate fighting school. We've had a fencing demo. We've had film screenings of local and international fan films, most of which are award-winning. We have storytelling, usually by the fantasy group. So you usually have someone dressed as Gandalf telling the story of Fellowship of the Ring, or like somebody trying to sound like Aslan telling you how Lucy and the other Pevensies got into Narnia. We have a lot of toy exhibits. A lot of people custom design their own toys, so that if you buy like the action figure and you know it doesn't look right, so you have to fix it, and then you have to show off your work. So we have a lot of that. And of course, it's not enough to have one figure. You have to have a set, because where's he gonna sit? Where's he gonna ride? Where's he gonna go? You have to have a complete back. It has to be complete. Okay, so there's also lots and lots of writing contests. Not just writing, also, it's like art, mostly art. You also have booths at each convention for each of the member groups, most of which I've mentioned already. So each group gets a booth where they get to show off their identity, what they love about Joss Whedon, or what they love about Star Trek, about Supernatural, how much they love the Winchester brothers, how much they like Josh Holloway or the others on the island. So we also have guest groups like our affiliates like Artists Den, the Tailcraft community. So it's not just us. We're not the only ones who are getting together and showing off what we can do. There are other people who seem to want to get in on that action and show us that we're geeks too, but we're a different kind of geek. In addition to that, we attend a lot of international conventions and conferences. A number of our members of Pinoy Harry Potter have actually been to Harry Potter conferences in the US, where they presented academic papers about the books and J.K. Rowling and the characters of Harry Potter, the fight between good and evil. And these are people who were university and college professors. So it's not something they take lightly either. It's actually an academic pursuit for them. A number of us in the Star Wars fan groups have attended conventions in the US, in Japan, in Taiwan, where, yes, we brought all of our armor and our blasters, and it's not always easy bringing that stuff to customs, especially if the customs guys like to try on the helmets. So it's not easy, but it's really a lot of fun. And I think the best part about what we do is the charity aspect, which I think is what surprises people the most. Um, a lot of us have done a lot of charity work. The Black Pearl Philippines, for example, makes it a point every year to visit the pediatric cancer ward of the Philippine General Hospital. They spend like the rest of the year collecting toys, donations, food, milk, diapers, clothes, anything which they can donate to the patients who are there at PGH, the patients of the pediatric cancer ward. Often when they make their visits to PGH, they're accompanied by the Philippine outpost of the 501st Legion and the Pag-asa wing of the Rebel Legion. So the Rebel Legion are the guys who wear the good guy costumes, and the bad guys are cool. So thanks to the Black Pearl Philippines, we've been even able to help the pediatric cancer ward at PGH, the White Cross Orphanage in San Juan, and the John Garcia Wheelchair Fund. So John Garcia was a patient at PGH who needed a wheelchair, and because he was at PGH, all family's funds were going to his medication and everything, and they couldn't afford a wheelchair for him. And thanks to Black Pearl and to the 501st and the Rebel Legion and SWP, we were able to get a wheelchair for John. So that's the sort of thing that, in addition to being able to express our love for science fiction and fantasy, we can do this and help other people. In addition to that, there's Pinoy Harry Potter, who through their Magic Works program in cooperation with McDonald's, they were able to make donations to the orphans of Jesus Loves the Little Children Orphanage in Pasig. Via Astris, the Star Trek Club, have worked with Gawad Kalinga to build houses for the poor. And Star Wars Philippines has also helped with the Half a World Away Foundation and the Holy Family Parish in Makati. Um, at this point, I'd like to make a special note about the 501st Legion, because we do make it a point all over the world, not just in the Philippines, but we make it a point to do charity work, mostly for children's causes. So locally, we've done work with Make-A-Wish Foundation Philippines, Big Brother, Big Sister, Kaith Incorporated, the GMA Kapuso Foundation, CBN Asia, the LC Gatches Village, and Project Brave Kids. So in addition to all of that, it's not all online. It's not all costumes and toys. A lot of the stuff is actually a lot of talking. So yes, we get into arguments about what's better, original trilogy or prequels. We get into fights about, no, Joss Whedon is better than J.J. Abrams. But it's actually all really friendly. There are often debates, discussions. There are people who say, oh, I think so and so is, but wait, that's a spoiler, I can't mention it. And then there are meetings in the real world also. We're not always just online. Via Astris has weekly meetings at Fandom Cafe in Cubao, Quezon City. There's the monthly open gaming meet, where anybody actually can just enter the room and play board games, card games, anything that's offline gaming. And we even have bowling competitions. So, geeks aren't all shapeless and unfit. We can bowl. Okay, there a lot of affiliate groups and partners, groups that are not members of the New Worlds Alliance, but are often there at our activities, at our conventions, participating on our website, in our online meetings. We have Tabletop Wars, which is another gaming organization, Artists Den, Read or Die, which is a group that promotes literacy, the Pag-asa wing of the Rebel Legion, the 501st, the Tailcraft community, which promotes creativity through a card game, the Pinoy Game Mania, which is the group of Pinoy Neil Gaiman fans, and the Twilight Coven Philippines, which is also applying for membership in the New Worlds Alliance. So if you want to join the New Worlds Alliance, it's really easy. Just visit our website, newworlds.ph. You can join any group, and most of us are really willing to accept new members. If we're not really welcoming, don't be afraid. We're shy too. If you have an organization that you think fits within the New Worlds Alliance, you can also inquire, and the New Worlds Council will process your application. Yes, there's red tape too. So I guess the most important part about I guess I'd like to leave this for last. Is why do we do this? Um, a lot of a lot of people when they find out what we do, that we spend lots of money on costumes, on collectibles, on limited edition, blah blah blah. You have this flabbergasted look on your faces that says why. And the thing is, people don't get that look when they're talking about sports fans or people who are like gung ho about reading. So why should we be any different? And it's just something that we like to do. It's something that we feel is important, maybe something that contributes to our lives. I personally, my own reasons for doing all of these things is because I've made a lot of friends in the alliance. Many of my close friends now are geeks. I met them because we both like Star Trek or Star Wars. Because I also like Harry Potter, and they are bigger Harry Potter fans. They're trying to convert me, and maybe the best thing that's come out of being a geek for me is I met the man I'm going to marry. So if you're still single, so if you're still single and you're a geek, then who knows? You might mate in the New Worlds Alliance. You never know; it might happen. So. So and there's also the charity, yeah, and the costuming. But yeah, that's the important part. So that's why we do the things we do, and it's fun. So come to the dark side. We have cookies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reg.